Hello. If you're watching this, that means I just got banned. As in, I got a temporary 24-hour suspension. And we're back together on this deep, up-close, and personal YouTube video. Welcome back to the Hasan channel on YouTube. Now, some of you are probably wondering, considering that there's a lot of back and forth going on online about why I got banned once again. Well, you might have actually heard the truth. I got banned specifically because I covered the motives of the Israeli embassy staff shooter, which apparently, according to Twitch terms of service, dictates a suspension, even if I critically examined the manifesto, which is precisely what I did. The reason why I read this is specifically so that you understand that, like, there is a shit ton of people that are like, no, this is the shooter's actions were directly about finding some Jewish victim to kill. Okay, it's deliberate. It's clear what his reasoning is. You don't have to agree with what he did, and I'm not urging you to. Okay, I'm not saying that at all, but it is deliberate. Ask yourself why the media is not saying that the shooter did this because they were distraught with the violence that they had seen unfolded in Gaza. And the reason why I had critically examined the manifesto of the Israeli embassy staff shooter was because there was a lot of misinformation taking place, as is the case usually online whenever there's a breaking news story. This is what I do. A big part of what I do is holding people's hands through the news media process by allowing them to think critically and helping them understand media literacy. This is precisely why I was covering the manifesto that my friend Ken Klippenstein was able to find and release. Another friend of mine, Eric Toller of the New York Times Visual Investigation Unit, had also uncovered the manifesto of the shooter around the same exact time, and he had also released it on his Twitter page. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because oftentimes when instances like this happens, the media will take bits and pieces of a manifesto to create a framework around the motive, but in this circumstance, the media actually was quite quiet about the manifesto in and of itself. And I think that's newsworthy, but that's not the story here. The story is that I got banned for it. I got temporarily suspended because this is a part of the Twitch terms of service. You are not allowed, as it dictates right here in front of me, to even show a violent extremist manifesto on stream while denouncing it. This, I think, is not good for news and press freedom. And I said on Twitter, I'll take the suspension, but I hope Twitch changes its policy in the future. And I do believe they might. Having said that, how do we get here? Especially considering that I had covered manifestos of the Cybertruck explosion. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2008 Black Mustang V6 for verification. The Luigi Mangione manifesto. I do apologize for any strife or traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. The Wisconsin school shooter manifesto. Some people think it's pure nothing, but because the hate they make, it ends up killing them without knowing it, which go right ahead. I don't mind, but kind of do at the same time. The literacy rates are abysmal in this country. The manifesto of Ryan Ruth. Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I'm so sorry I failed you. Wait, how did he know? And also the Israeli diplomat shooters manifesto. The atrocities committed by Israelis against Palestine defy description and defy quantification. Why was this different? Why was this a big deal? I'm covering all of these different manifestos on stream, and I've never been banned for it. Well, I believe the reason why this was actually a little bit different is because there was a lot of outside pressure in the immediate aftermath of this shooting. The ADL, Apartheid Defamation League's very own Jonathan Greenblatt, went on CNN only hours after the shooting had taken place to make incredibly slanderous statements about me, stating that I was responsible for this. My rhetoric was responsible for this. Let's take a look.
All of us need to call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing a gauzy profile a few weeks ago of this gamer, Hasan Piker, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jewish people in the Jewish state.
This is slander through and through. I do not apply awful genocidal language towards Jewish people. I don't believe that even a genocide that the Israeli government is doing justifies a genocide to the Israeli government or the Israeli people. I am not the one who is defending a genocidal state here. Jonathan Greenblatt is. Having said that, this slander continued with no pushback from the CNN anchor, which I think is rather strange.
Extremists should not be empowered. People who spout prejudice should not be platformed. This is a moment when we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, we've got to stop this because the consequences are deadly.
Here, Jonathan Greenblatt was making an implication that my rhetoric was responsible for this Israeli embassy staffer shooter going out and finding Israeli embassy staffers and shooting them. This is ridiculous. There is no connection between me and the shooter. The shooter actually followed a bunch of people. I was not one of them on Twitter. He was not following me. What the do you mean? He was, however, following a bunch of, he was following Joe Weisenthal, you know what I mean? To Jonathan Greenblatt's statement, I replied with, Israel is an apartheid state doing a live stream genocide. I think it's wrong and dangerous to conflate these heinous actions with Jews and Judaism. The Apartheid Defense League doesn't because they think they can improve Israel's standing by silencing its critics. It, however, will not change the truth. And this is important to note because that's not where the story ends. During my coverage, there were a lot of people that stated that perhaps the embassy shooter was maybe a false flag operation. I do not believe that. Part of the reason why I covered the manifesto was precisely for this reason, to make sure that we understood the motives and we understood exactly what this shooter was intending to do. But that wasn't enough. There were the likes of E.L. Jacoby, a Hosborough guy on Twitter who lies at the behest of the state of Israel quite frequently, saying, breaking, Hasan Piker, hailed by the New York Times as the future of progressivism, tells his audience that the DC attack might have been a false flag, then immediately says the guy was genuine with his actions. This is glorification of terrorism. Now, these two things, these two statements here are at odds with one another. But what's actually even crazier is that this is a 37-second video that is attached to this statement. Let's take a look at that 37-second video. But like I'm not Mr. False Flag at all, but like every single thing that he did in the aftermath of the shooting is so fucking crazy that it's like you could not have fucking designed a incident like this. You could not have designed a better false flag incident like this. I'm not saying it is a false flag incident at all. I'm not saying that. I think this is just a one dude who is genuine in his actions and maybe, you know, a little bit brain broken. Okay. Most people that retweeted this didn't even actually watch the video to see whether or not it actually matched up with what this person was saying. Now, why am I talking about this random account? It only got 6,000 likes. I retweeted. I said a fascinating phenomenon nowadays is watching people clip things in context that I'm saying and then turn around and simply claim that I'm saying the opposite of what I'm saying in the clip. This is a 37 seconds long video and this dumbass lied about everything. Why am I bringing this up? Great question. It's because the clip formulated by this account, which stated, Hasan Piker, star of Amazon's Twitch, says the attack sure looks like a perfect false flag. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The guy was genuine with his actions. How fucking absolutely gross is it that this is currently being streamed right now to 40,000 people? Then it turned into this. Hasan Piker, hailed by the New York Times, the future of progressivism, tells his audience that the DC attack might have been a false flag. And yet, here is Jake Tapper retweeting this. So I guess Jake Tapper, one of the most important members of the media, who just came out with a book talking about how the media narratives did not match up with what the people were seeing in terms of Joe Biden's senility, is still doing ridiculous things like this. It doesn't make any sense. But of course, all of that pressure inevitably led to Twitch taking this action. I had covered manifestos in the past on my broadcast. None of those manifestos actually met the same level of scrutiny. This one did. And I don't believe this one did exclusively because it was about Israel. I think this manifesto was simply used as an opportunity to try to get me banned by gaming the terms of service. I did not think I was going to get suspended, but I'll take it. The real reason the ADL and numerous other organizations are actively trying to come after me, however, is because Israel is falling out of favor. Because many Americans and many people in the Western world are now finally seeing the truth that Israel is an apartheid state that is built around an ethno-supremacist ideology and that Israel is doing a live-streamed genocide. Yesterday, they killed a doctor's family. 9 of this doctor's children burned, charred. Images such as this can be seen all over people's timelines and all over social media because now people have unprecedented access to the victims of a genocide, unlike ever before. This is the reason why Israel has fallen out of favor and has become a pariah state on the global stage. This is the reason why now Western leadership, who have supplied Israel with arms in order to engage in such violent acts for the past 19 months, are finally turning around and stating that perhaps Israel should allow aid in, that perhaps Israel should stop doing war crimes. A former Likud, far-right Israeli prime minister recently came out and said, enough is enough. Israel is doing war crimes. Israel has fallen so out of favor that The Atlantic, that a year ago wrote to rebut Hamas's allegations by letting journalists see the war up close would be a calculated risk. Even when conducted legally, war is ugly. It is possible to kill children legally if, for example, one is being attacked by an enemy who hides behind them. This was written on The Atlantic only a year ago. And now that very same Atlantic magazine is writing articles such as this one. It should not be controversial to plead for Gaza's children. Israel's limits on aid have put the region at critical risk of famine. Help is within reach, but it's not enough and it's arriving too slowly. The reason why the tide is shifting is because the pressure valve is insurmountable. Too many people know exactly what's going on, and as fascist ideology is a suicide cult, it seems like Israel is bringing the rest of the Western leadership down with it. Israel is no longer a democracy. You cannot be a democracy while you want to maintain an ethno-supremacist state that is an apartheid state, and you certainly can't be a democracy while doing a genocide. But the Western world that seemingly was able to abide by and hope that the pressure goes away from the broader public are now being forced to listen to the demands being made by the public. So there is a interesting bargain here ahead of us. Will our politicians listen to our voices and try to maintain the presence of a democratic process, or will they go down with Israel? As I say here, every day that goes by, more and more people realize the truth. The very same institutions that spent countless hours defending and contextualizing Israel's genocide will now change their tune. Try and deplatform me all you like, but you can't change what people have seen. One day, everyone will behave as though they were always against this. I'm Hasan Piker. I hope you can keep supporting me and watching me on YouTube, because even if I get deplatformed from Twitch completely, I will still find a way. And even if I am deplatformed entirely from every single website, the truth will still come out. On that note, see you on Monday. Bye.